Panel discussion, the most awaited event of today's session with our stalwarts of dentistry. First, we will, our panelist, Dr. Sandesh Maikar sir, aesthetic dentist, founder, president of Indian Academy of Aesthetic and Cosmetic Dentistry, Mumbai. I'm sorry, sir, for the delay. He is known as the father of aesthetic dentistry in India and is a phenomenal teacher who selflessly shares his years of aesthetic dentistry experience to the dentists throughout the world so that everyone can perfect the art from the master himself. He's also the sole master of TMD and occlusion and believe there is no dentistry without occlusion. And other name, he's a famous for celebrity dentist. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sir. And the next panelist is Dr. Ashu Kumar Gupta, sir. He's done his BDS in '86 from Mumbai and MDS from KGMC in 1995. His experience more than 33 years and teaching experience more than 26 years. He's a member DCI since 15 years and an executive council member last year. He's a president IDA Himachal Pradesh branch, vice president Indian Association of Conservative Dentistry and Endodontics. Currently, sir is the Dean Faculty of Dental Sciences, Himachal Pradesh, professor and head Department of Conservative Dentistry and Endodontics. He's a principal, Government Dental College, Shimla. He's a paper setter of various universities, attended various conferences, and has an N number of publications to his credit. So we welcome excellent academician and clinician, Dr. Ashu, sir.
Thank you so very much for such a wonderful introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now coming to the third panelist, Dr. Sanjay Kalra, sir. He did his BDS from Maharishi Dayanand University, Rohtak, and MDS from Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. He's a diplomat, International Congress of Oral Implantologists, and a director, National Board of Prosthodontics. He has a 20 years of teaching experience and served as a principal, professor, PG guide, and HOD of prosthetic department in BRS Dental College, Sultanpur for 5 years. He is the first dentist in India to use the CAD/CAM technology in his own multi-speciality clinic. That is Dr. Sanjay Kalra, multi-speciality dentist, Chandigarh. And you can say that he's a versatile personality, having hobby of gardening and singing. Coming to the fourth panelist, Dr. Himanshu Eden, sir. We can say that he has done his BDS and MDS from KGMC in '87 and '90. He has done his hospital administration and NABH dental assessor. He was a member Dental Council of India as well as the president of Indian Prosthodontic Society. Got a 30 years of teaching experience and done various courses from US and Germany. He got an N number of publications to his credit, and he is advisory board to various journals. He did various conferences and conducted various workshops, and he has a N number of awards to his credit. And we can say, let's welcome our teachers of teachers. With these words, I welcome all the panelists, and let's have a good discussion on the topic. The topic is multi-speciality approach of dentistry, a promising future, which will be moderating by Dr. Yogeshwari, who is our meritorious, multi-talented postgraduate student of our department. Dr. Yogeshwari, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jyotsna ma'am, for the lovely introduction. So my first question is for Dr. Sanjay Kalra, sir. Sir, you have been a hardcore practitioner for the past 30 years, as well as an academician for the past 23 years. So, sir, can you tell us something about your multi-specialty practice? And do you think an integrated approach in treating patients can lead to better healthcare?
Yeah. Good morning to you all, and I must thank Himanshu for giving me this opportunity to be part of this panel discussion, which is, of course, very dear to me. This subject is very dear to me because my specialty has been a multi-specialty setup for a very long time. My clinic is located in Panchkula, and it is 5,000 square feet facility spread over 2 floors. I have 11 dental chairs. And I have 7 visiting specialists working with me and 4 full-time specialists working, including me, of course. Then this is the only NABH this size in the region, and I take pride in telling you all that. My clinic is again most well equipped, I would say. I have CAD/CAM, Omnicam, I have the CBCT. I have full-fledged in-house dental lab. And of course, with the help of all these specialists, I strive to provide the best dental care services to our patients. Now, coming back to the next question, how an integrated approach helps in providing better healthcare services to the dental patients. The most important part is that the patient is being treated by a specialist who has the training, who has the knowledge, and who has the experience of treating one particular part of the oral cavity. We should compare ourselves with the medical specialists, where like if you have a cold or sore throat or something, you go to an ENT specialist. You have a heart problem, you have to go to a cardiologist. Same way, dentistry also, we have to have specialists working for various areas of the oral cavity. Other thing that is important is that one treatment, one patient can be worked upon by multiple specialists. Like, for example, a patient who has to undergo an orthodontic treatment is, of course, treated by the orthodontist. Maybe if some space has to be created, some tooth is missing, space has to be created. Probably he would need services of orthodontist first, and then maybe oral surgeon for placement of an implant, or a prosthodontist for placement of the prosthesis over that, or maybe a bridge. Maybe a gum specialist who treats the patient for the gums, for the periodontal problems. All these things, for example, an oral surgeon, he will treat him for any kind of impacted canine which has to be extruded orthodontically. So this kind of integrated approach leads to the better treatment outcome for that particular patient. Also, there is always a scope of mutual discussions, mutual understanding. Maybe if one specialist says that he is not able to understand some particular aspect of the treatment, maybe he can take the guidance from the other specialists. So this kind of discussion, healthy discussion, and ultimately better treatment planning leads to the better treatment outcomes for that particular patient. So that's how it has worked for me for last 20 years. I have been solely into specialty dental practice, and it's really done wonders to my practice. Plus, again, it saves your time, a lot of your time, because you are focusing on your specialization only. Like I'm a prosthodontist, I would prefer to focus more on my prosthodontic work, my complete dentures, implants, all those things. Because my root canals are being treated by an endodontist who is working on a separate chair. My oral surgery work is being done by oral surgeon who is working in my surgical operatory. So all these, at this way, I can work under one roof. Different specialists can do treatment for different patients, so that saves a lot of time, and that generates more revenue also. So that's how ultimately the patient gets a better treatment if we have a multi-speciality setup in our practice. I hope Sandesh will agree with me.
Totally. I'll add to it.
My question was wonderfully answered. So please add on.
Sandesh wanted to add something.
You
Yes,
go on
sir.
asking question, I can add on later on. Just
Yes.
what's the question for me or Himanshu? What's the question?
Sir, my next question is for you. So, sir, you have been practicing for the past 38 years now, and we all look up to you as the pioneer of aesthetic dentistry and also as our celebrity dental surgeon. So, sir, what protocols have you adopted while treating the patients by different specialists under one roof?
Okay, well, thanks, Himanshu. And my best time I spent talking to youngsters, because we can mold them, and they are the future of our country. So I was very excited to come and talk on this hot day afternoon. And let me start adding something to what Sanjay spoke. Sanjay has got 5,000 square feet. Sanjay, I got 500 square feet. Okay.
No.
That's it. That's in Mumbai.
That's
Okay.
equivalent to 5,000 square feet in Mumbai, anyways.
It's difficult. 5,000 square feet is difficult. Anyway, so in that small, my point to tell you youngsters is that even if your clinic is small, you can have multi-specialty practice, and that is very important. So, so the one thing, I think, can you focus me because I'm seeing Sanjay Kala on the screen. Organizers, can we focus me on the screen rather than Sanjay Kala?
Sir, you are very
Put the
much
spotlight,
visible.
spotlight
You
on.
are,
Yeah.
you are visible, sir.
No, but
But you
I'm
are
not
visible
I'm
otherwise.
but on the screen I can see you, not me now. So
No,
what
they
I
have
want
to
show is-
put the spotlight on you. They have to put the spotlight or light on you. There's a facility on this.
because now they are showing you. It's difficult to see, you know, like you're talking
I
so
know.
close to me. Is there a possibility or they're offline me? I don't know.
Sir, actually, you are visible to us on the main screen.
Okay, let me.
Yes, sir. You are visible, sir. Dr.
Let's start.
Sanjay.
Okay. So youngsters, you know, like today, what I mean, when I came to know there are postgraduates and interns also there, and some staff, mainly staff and others are there. So how one can get into? There's some noises coming somewhere. Himanshu and Kalra, can you put your on mute? Himanshu, Ashu, can you put on your mute?
I am.
Thank you. I'm sorry because when we are speaking, you know, that some sound just disturb your mind. So coming back to, before I come back to your questions, the question what Sanjay mentioned about multi-speciality practice is not, you know, like you are lucky to have this place, but multi-specialty practice is very important. One of the most important aspect, whether it's undergraduate, postgraduate, whether general dentist or a specialist, you should able to diagnose properly. And a basic dental surgeon job is to diagnose and plan. And in planning stage, you can involve your specialist. So the first thing, all these youngsters today, they should always believe that they are not only general practitioners or what they do, because usually I explain to general dentists and youngsters that at this age, after graduation, you have just got license to practice, but you may not able to handle patient if there is any complication in the smallest thing. So the first thing what you do is to contact the specialist wherever you are starting practice. A specialist could be 5 years senior to you, your batchmate, or 10 years senior to you. And when you start practice, once you diagnose the case, and you should market and let people know that your clinic, in your clinic, you can treat any type of patients. Mind my language, in your clinic. I'm not saying you can treat it. You will never able to treat it till you get good experience. So who is a specialist? A specialist is somebody who does one job again and again, again and again, every day. Again, to speak about specialists, an endodontist is doing 5 root canals and then doing general practice. He is not endodontist. A general practice doing 10 or 20 root canals a day, he becomes a specialist because he is practicing the same thing, though he don't have a knowledge. He can't call him as a specialist, but he can give special attention to that. So don't make yourself by attending course. If you attend a course, there is no post-graduation in aesthetic dentistry. And I'll tell you my experience. I wrote, I'm specialist in aesthetic dentistry. And in 1994, 99, I was taken to court. There is no DCI specialist in aesthetic dentistry. How do you write specialist? So I changed it to special attention. So if you are not postgraduate officially from the recognized Dental Council of India course, you have to write special attention and not specialist. So that's the basic difference between specialist and special attendant. Including implantology is very difficult. I told them that I've done courses from all over the world. They said, no, DCI is not recognized aesthetic dentistry. So till such time DCI recognized as a postgraduate, you don't call yourself a specialist, but you get special attention. So talking on this, first is what I say, CRP like TRP is C for correct diagnosis, R for right treatment plan, and P for proper treatment. So P, the proper treatment can be given by everybody, a specialist also. But first two are very important. And for that, you have to discuss, as Sanjay just mentioned, that if there's an ortho case, where there's a multi-specialist involved, there's a peg-shaped lateral, or there's a diastema with the size T small, and you have to get different spacing and then go for aesthetic dentistry. Now, the question is about aesthetic dentistry following protocol. In following protocol of aesthetic dentistry or any dentistry, first understand your patient. And once you understand your patient, then you can understand the need. Aesthetic dentistry is want, not needed. So that's what is very important, is to understand the patient first. So the protocol is diagnosis, planning, and then you get multi-specialist. In my practice, I do this, and I know my limitations, and that's what is the first thing you should know, is your limitation. And if you don't know, tell patient, I don't know. And that is what is very important. But I have got specialists who will get the job done. Your clinic should be equipped. That is the most important aspect. And that's what I did in my practice. Yogeshwari, I did that, is invest in the best equipment, because in the beginning of practice, nobody sits in a waiting room or reception area. They sit on a dental chair. So a dental chair should be more expensive than your interior. So that is very important. The patient remember the work done, they don't remember the interior of your clinic. So this is very important for aesthetic dentistry. If you're doing it, you should have best equipment, instrument, material, like Sanjay is having a CAD/CAM technology. So I'm cutting it short, my answer here, because there are a lot of answers and a lot of speakers are there. So basically the protocol is diagnosis, treatment plan, and equipment, instrument, material with specialists who can jointly do the job. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Wonderfully well. So, sir, my next question is for Dr. Ashu Gupta, sir. Since, sir, you are a principal of Government Dental College with vast years of experience, so how do you look at multi-speciality treatment being done at dental colleges? What is your view for that, sir?
Unmute, please.
Yes, sorry. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to thank the team and DentoCon 2020 for having included me as a panelist. I also would like to congratulate the team DentoCon for having shared this stage with people with such vast experiences like Dr. Sandesh Maikar and Dr. Sanjay Kalra.
Hello.
It's a pleasure for me to speak on this platform.
And I'll be free. You're coming at 3.
And I would also like to thank the team Endocon for having taken such a vibrant topic, which surely is a futuristic topic. Considering the fact that we are in, I am in a tier 3 city, and tier 1 and tier 2 cities where multi-specialty practices are already running. And tier 3 cities, the multi-specialty practices have still to pick up. I hope I'm visible to everybody.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So my answer to your question is, well, yes, I think dental colleges are the best places to offer multi-specialty treatment to the patients. And the reason thereof, in support of that, all I can say is that, as you all are aware, that in any dental college, you need to have a certain minimum number of specialists in all the specialties. So, like in my college, I would have more than 55 to 60 people with MDS, and minimum of 5 to 6 MDS in each subject. So in case, as probably Dr. Sandesh was also mentioning just now, that a discussion, no one person is in totality complete. So on every front, you may need to take some kind of advice, some kind of help on certain topics. So when in dental colleges, such huge amount of manpower is available, there cannot be any other better place for a multi-specialty practice as any dental college anywhere in the country. Now, one part of the story is as far as the manpower is concerned. Then the second part is the variety of cases. The kind of OPD patients that we get in our college has such variable kind of cases that probably the clinician or the doctors or the consultants, they also learn, the students also learn, and most of all, the most important aspect of our dental education is treatment of the patient. The biggest beneficiary of the whole issue is the patient, because he is able to get access to all different specialties, which are whether academic or non-academic. Say, for example, in a practice, an oral pathologist may not be available, but in a dental college, an oral pathologist would also be available. So at the same time, you can get an opinion of an oral medicine person for diagnosis. You can get an opinion of an oral pathologist for the purpose of diagnosis, and which is beneficial to the patient. The third part of the entire gamut of issue is the equipment. I am sure, because there are certain constraints for every dental college because of the council norms, every college has to have a basic minimum infrastructure. More so particularly colleges which are running with the post-graduation courses. Whether the infrastructure is with regards to space, whether the infrastructure is with regards to equipment, or whether it is with regards to the manpower also. Like, for example, in any dental college, a major operation theater is a must. So any kind of complicated surgery, be it trauma, be it any kind of surgery, that is possible. And since these colleges are also having association with the medical colleges, so we do get support, a good support base from our medical colleagues also. So in case there is a patient with systemic problems and we are operating or treating or working on them, the kind of support which we have for a medical for the systemic conditions, I think would be best available in any of the dental colleges. So my answer to your question is yes, absolutely. I agree with the fact that dental colleges are the best possible places to give multi-specialty treatment to any patient for that matter.
Now, I want to intervene here, Ashu.
Sir.
There are two things.
Sir.
Number one, I'm very happy that I'm oral pathologist now, because then I don't have to go to college for oral pathology. I myself.
Sir, you are all in all. You are all rolled into one, sir.
Now there is a suggestion. There is a suggestion for dental colleges. In my practice, Sanjay, I started something called Implant Center. But my implant center is an open implant center. What is open implant center? Like any young dentist who can't invest and he has learned implant, he suddenly can't invest so much of money in getting all the implants and all the infrastructure and do one implant a month. So my implant center in my clinic is a separate surgical center. He can come anytime. He utilizes my equipment, instrument, he pays for that and go away. So if any young, in fact, one of my associates, she just joined me. She said, I want to do my father's implant. So I said, go and do it there. Now, these youngsters, when they come to our clinic, they say that, well, doctor, can I work on my patient? Can I work on patients? I said, I'm not going to give my patients. You get your own patients. So suggestion to colleges, your postgraduates, when they go out, they can't experience privately. So you should have one multidisciplinary department that your postgraduate who is out, he says, Dr. Ashu, Dean, I got my patient, I get my patient, I use everything and I pay the college because patient is going to pay. So in that college, he will get an experience on working under the guidance, plus he gives payment to the college. And that is not available for specialists outside. So if college started a multi-specialty centers, that will become a boom to new specialists to experience themselves and then work in the private clinic.
Sir, may I answer it, sir?
Yeah, that's a suggestion I give. I think that is the
Sir,
best.
there are two aspects to it. One aspect, what you are saying is absolutely agreeable, that the facilities in the colleges can be utilized better for the benefit of the patient and public in large. I have fully agree to that. But the flip side of the story is, as you are fully aware, the medico-legal aspects. Now, if I allow, because who will take the responsibility if suppose something goes wrong? That aspect, and in the times to come, these aspects become very, very important, sir.
Yeah.
Let me just.
Okay,
sir,
finish.
So there are. I fully agree. There's something called as composite clinics, which have been started in some of the colleges, wherein one person is taught all the things to do and all that. So some kind of a composite clinic can be there where a person can come and work, as I think what you are trying to mention too. But only issue is, supposing if somebody says there's a case of trauma. some person brings his own case, does the treatment over here, and any complication arises, who's going to support, or how are we going to defend that? That aspect has to be seen before we allow such a thing, sir.
Sir, my question is, when I do in private practice, I am responsible for my treatment. That means you are just giving the space. It is not under college. You are just giving the space. The medico legal is that registered dentist, because other people are working when they are undergrad or postgraduate, they are working under you. But when I got a certificate, I got registration, I'm just utilizing your facilities. The same thing in my implant center. Anything happens is their responsibility. It's not my responsibility, because they have come and worked.
Sir, yours is with due regards, yours is a commercial setup where you have all the...
You make it your commercial, sir. That's what my question to you. One section can make a commercial in the premises, nothing at all.
Sir, may I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, sir, what we are talking about college, I am totally with agreement with the Dr. Ashu as a principal of dental college. We can't allow our ex-student to work without their registration on the panel of faculty, because medical legal issue is there. And I will like to add that we have giving the period of internship, which they are not utilizing. This is why call for interns. They should utilize that period of internship to learn all these things which they have been taught in BDS curriculum. And for that we are having different kind of setup, and we are allowing everything to them. So they should utilize this period of internship to learn all this. And definitely when they want to go to market, then they have to join any private institution or private practice. In college, I think we can't allow.
No, I'm not saying
And-
college.
and
Both
Dr.
of you are misunderstanding me. I'm not saying college.
Am I right,
You should
sir?
start a separate department, separate section, which is a private section, nothing to but in your premises, a private section, which is, which is monitored by you as your owners, as a business person. And that's a facility for postgraduates who go out, because I won't give any work to a recent graduate, because I don't know. So what you are trying to do is recent graduate and start general practice. So how
Dr.
do you
Sandesh,
engage
Dr.
them?
Sandesh, I would also like to add one thing more. Now, suppose if a patient, if some dentist brings his own patient,
Not in college. Not in college.
not in
That's specialty. Which is just the name of multi-specialty or composite clinic, etc. That's all. Like a polyclinic, I go to a polyclinic and work.
Exactly.
They come here, work and go. That has nothing to do with your institution.
Yeah, that is, sir, that can be done.
That is
That
what
can
I'm
be
saying.
done. There may be
But-
separate clinic for this in
Yes,
the college,
that's
but
what.
we can't
I'm
show
not
them
saying
as a
college.
faculty
I'm
or
not
can
saying
allow
college.
them to work.
Separate.
We can start a separate clinic or composite
That's the
clinic.
suggestion.
Yeah,
because
that is there. We can do that.
faculty is
That
there,
point
any
can be well
complication, the
taken.
faculty can come.
Dr.
Anyway,
Sandesh,
Can I
That
add
point is
something?
well taken. Dr. Ashu, we
Doctor-
can include this, and we can allow college to run the private clinics,
yes.
but they are not the part of dental college.
No.
But as a teacher, as a mentor, we can supervise their work and we can guide them, and simultaneously they can utilize the facility available in the college.
Exactly.
That is very rightly said by Dr.
Dr.
And
Sandesh.
Himanshu,
We
even
take
your
it, sir.
staff
Thank you,
can
sir.
use it. Even your staff can use it because they want to do some private practice. If it's allowed, the staff can use it because they have to treat patients and they want to get little more finances also. And it's a best thing for win-win situation for everybody.
See,
Dr.
Correct, sir.
Himanshu and Dr. Sandesh, I just want to add one small thing. Hello,
yeah,
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
am I audible?
yes, you are.
Yes, sir, we can hear
Yeah.
you.
So Dr. Sandesh has been a member of council. Dr. Himanshu has been member of council. I have been a member of council. Will the council permit, because colleges are bound by the Dental Council of India norms, and in none of the norms so far, unless the norms are amended accordingly, with
Sir,
the
it is
support.
not council, it is not college. Yeah, I'm telling you, in the premises, you start something else where council doesn't come into picture. Council doesn't come into picture. Kalra, you want to say something, Sanjay?
I want to
Ashu,
say,
I will like to add something. Council is giving only minimum standards.
Yeah,
Agree.
They are saying
agree.
ki follow this much. They are not saying ki don't add.
agree.
Right? I don't agree ki the council will not allow. Council
No.
will definitely allow. That is I'm telling. This is in addition to college infrastructure. We can starting a new clinic or separate clinic under the same roof. But this is in addition to as per DCI requirement. So
Yes.
I am very hopeful DCI will not stop us to provide such kind of facility.
And
As
Dr.
executive
Himanshu,
member of Dental Council of India, you also agree with me.
absolutely, Dr. Himanshu, there is one more small
can I say
point.
something now?
Yeah, Sanjay, Himanshu,
Yes.
Sanjay, say something. Sanjay, come in.
Okay, let me speak now. See, basically, I have the experience of both private practice as well as in academics. Like I've been a principal also for 5 years. Basically, what I fully agree with Sandesh. Why this is required? This is required because doing private practice and doing patients in a government setup is totally different. That a kind of exposure to our graduates as well as postgraduates as to how to manage the practice, right? So this, I'm sure, is going to help them understand the how they have to manage the practice, the administration part. That also has to be incorporated in that. In addition to the first-hand experience of the patient, of course, it is being done under the guidance of the guides and superiors. I hope nothing goes wrong, because all our postgraduate students, or for that matter, graduate students, they are treating the patients under the guidance. So normally nothing goes wrong, but if something goes wrong, like Ashu was saying, then the college is responsible for that, right? It's not that they are responsible, but the onus is on the college. So if they have this kind of setup where they are providing all the facilities, and they are all group of specialists, they are practicing together, like in a private practice, that first-hand experience of handling a private practice is most important that they are going to get. How to handle a patient, how to manage a patient in collaboration with various other people, because otherwise we are all in a cocoon. Like a dentist jab ban jata hai, to they think, oh, I become God. But when it comes to reality, when they have to start treating a patient, and they don't have that kind of exposure in the colleges, they have problems. So this is a very good idea to have such kind of setup where the focus has to be on an integrated approach. All the specialists work in tandem with each other, and plus they know how to develop the practice, or how to manage the practice.
I can also, Dr. Sanjay, if you remember, I think DAV Yamunanagar had a setup like that, where they had a chamber practice in the evening for the consultants. So they would get their own patients, and the consultants would treat them in the college and charge them, which was a win-win situation for the consultant exactly also.
Yeah.
Even we had in our college the same thing. Yeah.
Yes.
So now you started for specialists outside, after graduation, after getting certificate. Anyway, Yogeshwari, go on to the next question.
This is not this panel discussion. This is a healthy panel discussion. Good.
True.
Sir, next question is for Sandesh, sir. That can you tell us, sir, what kind of monetary arrangements can be done for visiting and full-time specialists, and would this benefit us financially or not?
It's a very excellent question, but at the end of the day, all you youngsters want to see how much I'm going to earn tomorrow. Am I right? Because after spending so much time, energy, money, you want to learn, say how much money I'm going to earn. I'll give my example. When I started my practice, I was alone in my practice, totally alone. And then I started in 82. And then 86, I said, I want an assistant. Now, why do I need an assistant? I need an assistant so that when my one patient come in, and there's somebody calls me emergency, if I got only one chair, I don't have time. And let me tell you, patients, when they call, they have thought 10 times before this to call and come. So when they call, you should always call them, come right now. And for that, you require an extra chair and extra person working on it. So that's how I multiplied my one more chair immediately after 4 years of practice. Today, everybody has to start with 2 chairs. And I put a BDS doctor. Then one fine day, it was, I think, early 90s, about 6, 7, I did everything. I did disimpaction, root canal, everything I did myself. But I was not an expert, but I did to the best of my knowledge that time. Then one fine day, Dr. Chad Gianni, who was the immediate past president of American Dental Association, he came to my clinic. He's very close friend. So he came to my clinic to treat my orthodontist. And he was treating one sitting root canal on the molar. And on the other chair, I was doing my composite restorations, and I did 5 restoration and he did 1 root canal. I said, this, the best person. I said, there's something is missing here. I said, why the hell I should spend time in root canal? So that day onwards, I decided that I will appoint endodontist and I'll do my restorative work, and endodontist does my root canal. Now then comes the orthodontist. I mean, I personally hate ortho patient to treat. I can design, orthodontist can do the job. So orthodontist, I was referring outside. And I tell you this experience with Manpreet Brar. When Manpreet Brar, Miss India, wanted to do braces, I took her outside. And every time I had to discuss with my orthodontist, senior orthodontist, what I want, because that's the aesthetic design. And somehow he agreed to me. But subsequently I said, why should I send patient outside? Why not call my orthodontist to my clinic so that everything is done under my guidance, my design, my diagnosis? So I got orthodontist. Now let's do monitoring. When you say monitoring, one thing I don't like when the specialists go to somebody's clinic and say that, okay, I will take 70%. I said, what do you mean by 70%? Now, charges, friends, young friends, charges are divided into 3 parts. One is infrastructure. Now, infrastructure, Sanjay Kalra knows that infrastructure, that CAD/CAM technology costs 60 lakhs of rupees. Now, I am going to put infrastructure which is in lakhs of rupees. So, infrastructure cost, material cost, and the skill cost. So, you can't charge 70% of my infrastructure cost. I charge 10,000 rupees, out of which 7,000 goes to my infrastructure, or 55,000 goes to my infrastructure, and you want percentage from that also? Sorry. So what one should do is, what are your skill charges? So ask that, he says, my ortho, endo says, I say, I'm not talking about today's charge, but somebody says 2,000 or 3,000. You do endo, you take your charges, I can charge 30,000, I'll do free of cost, this is none of your business. As a specialist, you take your money, you do the best job and go. So now what is happening, if you are, I got endodontist, I got prosthodontist, I got 3 orthodontists, etc. And I got 3 chairs in one clinic, other clinic 2 chairs or 4 chairs. So they work on my patients and they give me say 50% or 30% or 40% of the revenue, because I charge them more. If he's charging 2,000, I charge 5,000, they charge 5,000, I charge 10,000. So that money takes care of my overheads. So I get 20-30% from endo, 20-30% from ortho, or 40% from them, etc. That comes to about 150%. Plus my revenue is 100%. Total comes to 250%. Remember, 250%. And that's the only way to go your practice up financially. So but you should be present. Why are you charging more? It's not cut practice like medical. Medical refer. If they refer, they say, I want cut, that is called cut practice. Here, you are using my infrastructure, using my services. And by the way, that patient is mine. So anything goes wrong, it is my responsibility. And that's what you charge for patient. And you have to be, you should be present there. I listened to somebody said, okay, Saturday is my orthodontist day, I'm not there. That is not possible. You should know after 2 steps what orthodontist has done, because patient has come for your designing, your diagnosis, and your treatment plan. So friends, monitoring is absolutely beneficial, is a win-win. Patient gets the best service from the specialist. You get the revenue and the specialist gets his financial, because initial years, he can't be established, but there are a lot of people who are visiting. So friends, monetarily is the best thing to do. If you want to start your own practice, you start your own practice, but before starting the practice, you should talk to specialists, sit with them, ask them the charges, who is going to get the material, etc. Then do the costing and then decide, okay, what you are going to tell. A patient might come and tell you, you are youngsters, neighboring senior dentist is charging 5,000, you are charging the same amount. It's not the senior or junior. It is the job done by the specialist. That is very important. Your job is very important. In my clinic, the specialist does the job. And there's one question usually, I don't know whether the question is going to come later or not, but one question is whether patients will allow to change the hands. And that is always a problem. So you have to manage the patient, which is that management or soft skills are very important. I still remember in my clinic, Mrs. Godrej, the Godrej was sitting on the chair. I diagnosed root canal, diagnosed exposure, and I said, root canal. She said, do it. So I pointed to my endodontist, he will do it. She looked at me and she said, Doc, I thought you were the best doctor. I said, you are not wrong. Best doctor knows what not to do. She smiled and she said, okay, let endodontist do the job. So I told her, endodontist is doing the job. I know what is the correct job. So 4 eyes are going to see your job instead of me alone. And that's what is very important to convince the patient. And that's how you should go about doing it. So monitoring is a win-win situation. And I request all the specialists and general dentists, sit down together now when you're in college, discuss all this and decide from now what is your future. And the people who have come up in life, they have planned from now 5 years. They don't start immediately and look for patients. They plan what one should do, on whom to practice, what should be charges, and then go with the bang. That's what my answer is.
Great, sir. You have answered that very well for us. Sir, we all know that you all have been practicing since many, many years. So the same question I would like to direct to Sanjay sir as well, because since sir is also practicing since 30 years, so patients would come and object getting work done from somebody else. How do you manage that, sir? Since Sandesh sir has told his part, you tell us now.
See, basically, that is the biggest problem one faces. If you have a very old practice and you have been working all alone all these years, and people have faith in you, and you're famous. But then changing hands, as Sandesh said, it's a very, very difficult proposition, because but then you have to know how to handle it. In my clinical practice, the protocol that I use is that I have to see the patient first time always for doing the diagnosis, and ask for any kind of investigations like RVG or OPG or CBCT or any kind of other investigations. And then I reach to the final diagnosis. Of course, probably if I require the help of the specialist, I take it over there. But then that is most important, because the patient has come to the clinic for you and you have seen him. So that half treats him, you can say, right? That instills that confidence. Now, then comes the part of like you have to refer him to a specialist, like for example, an endodontist. Now the patient will say, okay, no, doc, I have come for you because you are the best. You have to sometimes tell to the patient that this is my endodontist and he or she is the one who specializes in doing this treatment. And he's done so many of these treatments till now that he's better than me. Sometimes you have to tell him that he's better than me because I'm not a specialist in this field. So that instills the confidence in the patient, right? But probably there are some old patients, elderly patients who are quite rigid and who don't want to go to anybody else. Such kind of patients also we do encounter. Probably what I do is I start their treatment with some other treatment. Like for example, some fillings are supposed to be done. I would start with the fillings. So that develops the confidence. And then ultimately during those visits, I instill the confidence in him that what is an endodontist, how a root canal is done, and how it is going to be better if it is done by a specialist who is using these special equipment like a microscope and rotary instruments and all those things. So that confidence can always be built up in those very rigid kind of patients also. But sometimes you have to say, no, I do not do endo at all, because this is not my forte. And sometimes you have to refuse the treatment to the patient also. If you don't want to get it done from my endodontist, whom I trust the most, who is the best, that all these things we have to use very frequently. And ultimately, you have to instill this kind of confidence also to the patient that whatever happens, your treatment will be good, and I am responsible for your treatment. That instills the confidence. That hits the nerve, and there's no way that the patient is going to refuse treatment by your specialist. And I have seen this. This is an experience, and this has worked very well. And also, with passage of time, your endodontist or your specialist also develops a reputation in the clinic. He or she also develops that confidence for the patient. And they sometimes I've seen that some of the patients, they will come straight away for endodontist treatment to my specialist. So normally this problem is solved like that. I hope I have answered your question.
You know, simple thing, you know.
Can I add something,
Yogeshwari,
please?
the simple thing, I got a hygienist for last
Yeah.
24 years. Patients are taking direct, who are
Exactly.
taking direct appointment with my hygienist. I need not be
Hygienist.
present there. So that's
Exactly.
the way.
Same is
we
happening
have to
with me.
Develop that thing. And lastly,
Yeah.
just before Ashu comes, I just want to add, the only thing what we and Sanjay does is that before we tell the patient the work is over, we just go and touch something and do NKW. You know what is NKW? Naam ke vaste. We do something. NKW, that's the word
Yes.
issued, naam ke vaste. Just and patients are very happy that haath lagaya. You know what we say
During
in,
the treatment also, you
what
go
we say in
and
puja,
everything's
what
all
we
right.
say in puja, mama, haath lagane ka. So that's what we do.
Yogeshwari, can I add something, please?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Please ask.
Yeah. So my thing that I want to say is, you know, the topic for today's panel discussion is exactly the same thing, and we have hit the nail on the head. You know, multi-specialty practice. Why this thing is not so much in vogue in our country? Because basically we have not allowed our specialties to develop that well. Why is it so? When a patient
Exactly.
goes to for a medical treatment, he goes for a gynecologist, he goes for a dermatologist, he goes for a surgeon, he goes for a neuroperson, he goes for all different kind of specialties. We can also, if we have to convince the patient, we can convince the patient in the same way as Dr. Sandesh is saying, or as Dr. Sanjay is saying. It is not at all, you know, it is not never possible that one person would be knowing everything. You have to have, you have to convince your patient that if in medical, for different parts of the treatment, you go to a different specialist. So same is the case in dentistry. For gingiva, we have a different dentist. For tooth, we have outside of the tooth, we have a different dentist. Inside of a tooth, we have a different dentist. Straightening of a tooth, we have a different dentist. If we can convince, and that would sound a lot more logical to the patient, so that he can be convinced. So we have to develop our specialties of dentistry accordingly.
One request is that the specialist should not do general practice then. What they do is that they
Yes.
don't get revenue, they jump into general practice. My request to specialists is that, let me tell you, even young dentists, first 5 years, you don't need money. First 5 years, you don't need money. You are working, you are either staying with your parents or you are either staying with your in-laws. Learn that time. Once you learn, then your charges double, triple, fat, graph upar jata hai. What you do, you want to get everything right now. No. There is a time
Correct.
limit for everything. As we always say, 24 hours a day, that will not change. A child is born after 9 months. Similarly, practice is developed after a certain age only. So have patience and get your experience. And lastly, before you go to the next question, don't try to learn everything. Your specialist, just learn very exclusive in your specialty, like endo, micro, endodontist, exclusive, and become different than others, and see how your practice develops.
Yes.
We are in for time, sir, when we might have super specialists in dentistry also.
Sure.
As you're saying, micro endodontist.
Yeah,
Why not?
sure. And we will
We should
refer to
have-
them because I want
Yes.
a patient teeth to be saved. And there's a very wrong concept. And one more thing, as PGs are there, I personally will get upset if a periodontist do implant. You are doing 3 years of periodontology to save the tooth. The moment you get into implantology, the thought process, human being, I'm going to get more money there. But let me tell you,
that is it.
for endo and perio, you get more money in saving the tooth because patient come again and again. If you do implant, that is the last source. एक बार किया गया. वापस उससे पास से पैसा नहीं मिलने वाला है. But if you do endo, after 10 years, if they want to do the implant, you tell them, I can do implant in my clinic, but I would like to save God-given implant, the root. Try to save as much as you can. The revenue goes up and up and up. Don't try to just kill the goose, go and build a golden egg and do implant immediately. बराबर है ना संजय? Sanjay, am I right?
बिल्कुल सही, बिल्कुल सही.
Yeah, Yogini. Yogesh.
Yes, sir. So, sir, Himanshu Erin, sir. So, since you are having 2 dental clinics also, and you are a principal of a dental institution, so, sir, since I had been working with you, so I want to bring this up a little. Some patients I have seen, they come to us, and once they meet sir, after that they will say that so and so doctor is very young. I don't want to get my treatment done from them. We want to get it done from sir himself. So, sir, any suggestions? How do you manage such things?
Actually, I'm following the principle which Dr. Sandesh has told us, because diagnosis is the first and most important aspect of any treatment. And as you are working with me, and you are running 2 clinics, you know that. For that, I'm giving the chance to youngsters as a principal of the institution. They can run my clinic in my absence, but they can't make a treatment plan. What they will do just examine the patient. They will do the little bit of oral prophylaxis, which we are needing in every patient. But ultimately, patient comes to me for my treatment plan, and I decide a treatment plan. I consult a treatment plan with my patient, and as all of you are agreeing, now we are not doing all things in practice. So similarly, I'm not doing anything except prosthodontics. My endodontist will come, he will do the needful. My periodontist will come, he will do the needful. As the requirement is there, the person will come and treat the patient, and whatever I am supposed to do, then I will do. And as Dr. Sandesh told, he just touch the patient for few things and he gets satisfied. That is very correct, because some patient have faith in you and they say, doctor, आपके हाथ में जादू है, या आपके छूने से ही मेरा दर्द चला जाता है. So that confidence we have to keep with patient, and we should not think all specialists can that give that spiritual touch or healing touch to the patient. So we should try to interact our every and each patient. That is my baseline of the practice. And if I see the topic, because what we are discussing, this is very important. Our topic is multi-specialty approach in dentistry promising future. Correct. Ashu Gupta said very correctly. Why we need to tell patient that endodontist is different, prosthodontist is different. Now this is the high time for seniors like us to work on this field. We should create awareness among the people. They are separate kind of dental specialists. They are separate kind of dental treatment which any single doctor can't do. So this is my foremost suggestion. If we have to propagate our specialties, we have to do stronger work in this field, and for that our specialty society can be very useful. Like our Indian Prosthodontic Society is doing very good, and we have released a video which we are promoting among the public places. If who is prosthodontist, what he is supposed to do, and how he is better than a general dentist. Similarly, orthodontic people are doing this, endodontist people are doing this. So this is the high time for the future of dentistry. We should propagate our specialty among the people. They should know there are different specific treatments. Yes, sir. Micah, sir.
I want to add, you just delete that statement.
Want to say something, sir?
I would like to say that you delete this. One can't say that they're better than general dentists. You can say they are different and they are highly educated and do very difficult job which a BDS can't able to do. So instead of making general statement, so that's what my concern is. My concern is very
more skillful.
A specialist, yeah, a specialist is one who does the job which general dentist can't do. It's not that general dentist should not do. A general dentist, for example, a single root canal of a molar, I can do it. A molar, central incisor, molar is difficult. So I can just pass it on to you. So what happens is I'm charging for crown preparation, say 10,000 rupees. A specialist, the moment specialist is coming, I can say the specialist job 15,000, and specialist can get 10,000. The point is very simple. The specialists should be promoted that they are above, not better or, this is their above. The definition of above is very subjective. In a sense, they are doing something a general dentist has not learned. So they are doing something different and more complicated cases than the general dentist. And that way, we as a general dentist are promoting, should promote the specialty in our practice to give the best treatment to the patient. And coming to multidisciplinary, I suggest the youngsters that they should start from the beginning multidisciplinary. General dentist doing ABCD, demarcate your job, and other person will not crisscross just to get revenue. That factor has to be taken out, because that is the problem. People don't have faith in each other. That faith structure develop from now when you are in college, and then you can develop a bigger, you can see a bigger picture.
Correct, sir.
Great, sir. That was very well taken up. So, Sanjay, sir, my next question is to you. Since you have an NABH accredited setup, so any specific requirements we need to focus on for the specialists working with you? Can you let us know about that, sir?
Yeah, NABH is a very strict organization, and for everything there are rules and regulations and set guidelines. So first and foremost is that you have to display the specialty services that are being provided at your multi-specialty setup. You have to display what specialty services are not being provided at your dental setup. You have to display whether you are doing emergency services in your setup. You are to display whether emergency services are not being taken up, or maybe some specialist services like trauma and all are not being taken up at your clinic. Of course, you have to display the timings and everything. Other thing which is required is that the specialist you have to have an memorandum of understanding. MOU has to be signed between the specialist and the chairman or the head of the organization, which mentions all the protocols about even the monetary concerns. Everything are addressed in that. Then, very important that the DCI registration is to be there, which has been renewed timely. And third and most important is the legal aspect. The professional indemnity insurance is there, which is not a requirement by the NABH, but then this has to be taken on priority. You have to make sure that the specialist who is attending to your patients is insured. Otherwise, as per NABH requirement, all the specialists, they have to follow the set guidelines which are there, which are printed guidelines. We call them SOPs. For each procedure, they have to follow the same SOPs. Infection control protocols are very strict. Of course, they are very strict for everybody, especially in these today's COVID times. So they have to follow those infection control protocols that you have set up for your clinic. Of course, there has to be demarcation as to what kind of materials are you going to be providing to the specialist, what you are not going to be providing to the specialist, whether you will provide or not, whether they will bring the material themselves or not. All those things, they have to be clearly mentioned. And of course, as per NABH requirements, all your visiting specialists also, like your routine regular specialists, they have to do it, but even your visiting specialists have to be trained in the various policies that you have fabricated. The policies, there are manuals, those have to be trained, and you have to do those regular trainings, classes in your clinic on regular intervals, like maybe once in a week, once in a month, or twice in a month. That becomes a regular protocol for any NABH accredited clinic. Those have to be trained in CPR training. Those have to be trained in spill management, knee district injuries, all those things which are, these are the part of the curriculum which they have to strictly follow. If they don't follow, you can say goodbye to them, because it is important to know all these things, and they have to value the importance of all these things. So these are some of the guidelines which are strict guidelines by NABH for the specialists.
And I just want to add to the specialist here. I faced a problem. My orthodontist did the job, but I was taken to court because the receipt was on my name. So now onwards, we take the receipt in the name of the specialist because the court said the receipt is in your name. So I was stuck up. I didn't even touch the patient. So that's the something, Sanjay, I don't know whether you have, I mean, I experienced this in the 90s. So nowadays my specialist has to sign not only MOU, but whatever receipt given to the patient, say, I want the receipt. I say, specialist, you sign and give it for the root canal. You sign it, giving it for this particular stuff. And the same thing, Ashu, if you start something in college, the receipt is given by the doctor and not by the college, so that the doctor is responsible in the court of law.
Absolutely, sir. Exactly. I would also like to add something. You know, if you are aware of the clinical establishment.
Yeah, go ahead. Ashu, clinical establishment. I'm not so much aware.
Yeah, no, I'll just add on because Dr. just mentioned NABH, which applies to some places you have to take an accreditation with the NABH. Similarly, Government of India had come out in 2010 with the clinical establishment bill, which was to be followed by all the states, and some of the states have adopted it also, Himachal being one of them. So in that also, it is the same thing that there are specifications for everything, that you have to have a chamber of such and such size. You have to have so many things. All these things which have to be displayed. The rates have to be displayed. What procedures are you doing? That has to be displayed. What are you not doing? All those things are mentioned in the new clinical establishment bill also. So probably for the organizations, some of the colleges and government organizations, even the clinical establishment bill can be handy. And if they start following it, it will improve the standards of treatment. And they have rating system in that. You know, you have rating just like quite like 5-star hotels. You have 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, and stuff like that. Same way, clinics can be rated. You know, they can be given a star depending upon the facilities and services that they're providing.
They can. And these days, these ratings are very, very handy for your practice also. Like if we are now I'm talking about the advertisement part, or your rating, Google rating and all. These ratings are also like Practo rating or Google rating, or probably the Clinical Establishment Act, the ratings that you get. These are becoming a boon or a bane for the dentists. Like some of the dentists.
My Google star is true, because only one person commented on my Google star. I mean, I don't understand that. I don't even know that patient. She has not come. She's commenting on somebody else's. So, and then Practo and everybody charge for that. So I personally feel that clinical establishment government act is fine, but all where they pay and get the star, I don't think that's visible. I didn't even change that Google and all.
No. Sandesh, yeah, I think I disagree with you on that. In the sense that like you have to make it a routine to take the patient feedback. Like this is slightly off the topic, but when you take the patient feedback and your which the patient gives directly, number of feedbacks that you take from the patient, that adds to your rating. So normally what I have seen and experienced, the genuine feedback always counts. Patient sees that feedback, because these days these youngsters, they always go with their Google rating and all, and they'll always find your clinic based on that. So at least it has helped me a lot. But I also know that there are agencies who help you in increasing your Google rating. Whether you have 2 patients or 10 patients in your clinic, they will make your rating to 1. But then that is unethical. That should not be done. And I think Google also gets to know about it.
No, the point is that I don't want to, I mean, my personal opinion, I don't want to get into that combination. That's the reason I'm sorry, but I don't even have my website. My website, everybody said I am myself. So I tell them, go on Google and find out who am I, whatever it is. The point is, your self-confidence, this referral from the patient and what you establish is far more important then somebody
Exactly.
writes for you.
No, that's there. Very
No
good.
questions, ma'am?
I totally agree with Sanjay, sir. Our work is speak. There's no need to advertisement.
That is there.
Patient to patient referral is the best referral.
That is the best referral.
And we should
That I
stick to it. And we should stick to quality work. And there is a saying, don't run after the money. Let the money run
Let
after
the
you.
money run
मैं
out.
तो
And
मैं
that
तो
will come only when you have good work.
मैं बच्चे लोग को यही बोलना चाहता हूँ, लड़की के पीछे भागेंगे तो लड़की और दूर भागती है, तो लक्ष्मी के पीछे
Correct.
नहीं भागना. Do your job, Lakshmi will come to you. That's
Okay.
very important.
Exactly.
Yes, boss, correct.
Yeah, Yogeshwari, any more questions?
Yes, sir. Sir, any do's and don'ts you give to your specialist?
To my specialist, you do your job. Your card will not be given to my patients. You are not going to entertain them in your private calls. Patients do ask you, they Google you, they find you. And the moment you know that they are our patient, our clinic patient, do not entertain, and all specialists follow that. Because what happens, they feel I'll go directly and I do this and that. 3-4 patients did that. And
They
my
do
patient
that.
just said, oh, I've seen you. Secretary gave the appointment. And then I saw you at Maheka's clinic. No, I'm not going to treat you. Come there only. So that's very important ethics with the specialist. And specialists should be available to me 24/7. If any complication, anything happens, they should be available to me. Their private number should be available to me so that they're coming there. The third thing is that specialists, sometimes what happens, a patient comes from out of town, say Chandigarh, somebody comes from some other place, or Simla, either say, I. So they want to get the job done, and my orthodontist visiting says, oh, I'm not available now. I'll be available on the Wednesday. I say, sorry. So I kept 3 orthodontists. The one who is available can do the job because diagnosis and plan is mine. They have to do the job what they can do it. So I also tell orthodontists, you just explain the procedure. I will do the plan. You listen to the plan and you have to stick to the plan. Don't try to tell your plan. Now this happens when my patient goes somewhere else and I tell my friend in other part of the state, they change the whole plan. In fact, Sanjay will be surprised. There was a big diastema and mobile teeth, and she wanted to get it in for her son's marriage. I did ortho. And that ortho wire I sent somebody to change in Delhi, that guy said, why are you doing ortho? Extract the tooth and do all in 4 implants. Now, this is what one referral cases should not do this.
Not happen. Yes.
They should call up the doctor concerned and ask him, what is your treatment plan? And this is the way you follow that treatment plan. So these are the do's and don'ts.
Work ethics is very important.
Very important. Ethics are very important. And youngsters, stick to your ethics. Sky is the limit. Sanjay,
Right, sir.
Don't give your phone number to the dentist, to the patient, to the patients.
Yeah. Specialist should not do it.
Specialist should not.
Same is applicable in my practice. If we are not allowed to know the name of such specialist. He is a specialist for current dental care. Who is he? Is not of your concern. And his work is my responsibility.
Now, my question is to Ashu, as he is writing the curriculum and all. Ashu, the youngsters, one thing they are missing is soft skills and management. I hope you are the one who writes the curriculum for DCI. And let me tell you, friends, I've seen him, I've discussed with him. This person is so much in the curriculum and that he knows on the tip of his this thing. So I hope you people will add soft skills. And a time has come.
I just answer. Okay.
No, 1 sec. I've got 2 things. Question to you only. I've got 2 things. One, DCI should give this. Second, can DCI also promote, job on campus? In a sense, if I want to know, a college should know that who is a good specialist, I will take that specialist and mold him. So job on campus, which is done by MBA people, why can't we do in dentistry also? Because there are a lot of seniors who are looking in for good specialists, and you as a dean can help us. So how do we go about this 2 things where the youngsters will be quite benefited and they will be motivated to do better job because they will feel that, okay, I can get a job on the campus.
Sir, I'll answer your 2 questions one by one. First is your soft skill question, sir. What we have tried to do is we have in the new curriculum for BDS, we have tried to add some orientation lectures, sir. There will be around 25 hours in, I think, 3rd year and 15 hours in 1st year. which is going to be purely orientation lecture, sir. If the government of India passes that new regulations for BDS, so in that we have kept soft skills, particularly in third year. In the first year, we have just kept, when a BDS student enters a college, he doesn't know anything about the departments. He doesn't know about the orientation of the college. He doesn't know what should be his behavior towards his fellow colleagues, towards his, there are certain basic things. So in first year orientation lectures of 15 hours, we have broken it in that ways. That few things we have mentioned, and subsequent things colleges can add on their own also as well. In third year, particularly practice management, chair maintenance, soft skills, these are some of the things that we have highlighted from our side, I think, and which are greatly required for our graduate students, because once they pass out, even howsoever good and skillful they are, but they do not know, like, for example, how to communicate with the lab, how to interact with a patient, how to interact with the fellow colleagues. These kind of things are very, very essential in today's time when we are heading into 21st century with so much of computer-based things, and even in the times to come, say, for example, Dr. Sanjay Kalra was mentioning about CAD CAMs and stuff like that. So use of computer, application of computers, I think they are mandatorily required for our students, sir. And we have tried to add on. The rest, it depends from college to college. If certain college has a better infrastructure and they can give more hours to it, that will be their call. But something to begin with, we have tried to do this, sir. Second thing was with regards to what you mentioned about how to find out where the person is gold and stuff. I think probably something on the analogy of a placement cell, if you're thinking, I guess.
Yes.
Sir, I think this, we have not talked so far about it, but it's a very good suggestion that either the council or some of the colleges, I think, sir, like Manipal, for example, for engineering, MIT, Manipal Institute of Technology, they have a placement cell. So what they do is all the campus interviews which is conducted, from in campus, the placement cell gives the name to the companies, and companies would come and interview the students and then take them up. So on the same analogy, probably we can think on these lines to have some kind of a placement cell in a dental college. Maybe any one senior faculty member can be put in charge of that with some clerical staff who can take down the data. I think it's a very good and a very, very valid suggestion, which should be taken up at the council level, sir, to start some placement, sir.
Yeah, there are two things. One, council or without council, colleges can start.
Colleges can
you don't
start,
need
yes.
council. You can just start.
Yes.
Like this is nothing to do with
Yes.
education.
Colleges can start.
Yeah. So these are the things which are very, 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 very important. The other things with both the deans, at the end when they graduate and when they are like when they are going to go out, I suggest that there should be one lecture calling outsiders to parents as well as to the students, because sometimes what happens, parents peer pressure on students that now I've spent so much money to start earning. So there should be some guidance to the parents also that your child has become multi-specialist. Have some more patience that he will earn quite amount of money later on. So that guidance also, that lecture each college should have from the specialists in their area whom you feel can become and give lecture to them and explain them the monetary aspect in specialists when they go out, investment wise and income wise. How do you think so, Himanshu and Ashu?
Sir, absolutely. I think our profession is such, a person arrives slowly. We cannot expect the person, like today he passes out from BDS and tomorrow he's not like a golden egg laying. No. So we have to make people understand that he will gradually, slowly mature and metamorphose into a dentist, into a clinician, where his earning will start.
Yeah, Himanshu, what's your comment on this?
Sir, my comment is the same. Actually, we have to train our youngsters. If they can't have inline overnight, they see Dr. Sandesh Maker today. They don't see Sandesh Maker what has done in 90s or Dr. Sanjay Kalra what he has done in 90s. So they have to learn, they have to understand this if they can't be overnight rich. But simultaneously, as you said very rightly, we have to train their parents, their caretakers. They should not expect if we have invested 8 lakhs of rupees to make them dental surgeon and 15 lakh rupees to make them postgraduate dental surgeon, and he should return it immediately. No, that is not possible. And this is not in dentistry, sir. This is everywhere, in every business. My son is running a factory. Believe me, this is his third year, and still he is investing. So this is not applicable to only dentistry. This is applicable to every field.
Yeah, but we
So
should-
we have to learn patience, and for that we should include nice suggestion. We can tell teachers, we can tell parents. Actually, what again and again everybody is saying, DCI is saying this, DCI is saying this. No, DCI is not holding anything.
No,
DCI is just asking to follow minimum standards.
minimum requirement, yeah.
Anything you want to add, you can add as a dean, as a university. So DCI is just giving the minimum standard, and nobody is telling you don't do the good
Minimum
things.
requirements.
This is
Today-
my
minimum.
Today not
suggestion. We
coming
should
to
do
a college,
maximum for the benefit of students and society.
today not coming to your college, we can communicate. Similarly, the Zoom has become, this type of online thing can be done with parents and students and everything, wherein more information can be given. So that's the betterment of that, those people. Anyway,
Correct.
I think it's 3:30. No, you still have time. You can have questions.
So
They
almost.
started 10 minutes late. They
Yes,
started 10
yes.
minutes late.
So my last question would be open to all of you. That in the last 30 years, what have you witnessed in dentistry? The changes in the dental practice with respect to the multi-speciality clinics, and how do you foresee it in the future?
Who is
Okay.
the oldest one? I think I'm the oldest one, right? Anyway,
Oldest young, sir.
anyway, when we started dentistry, anybody can join me in between. When we started dentistry, when I graduated in 1977, I used to do extractions and dentures and fillings. And I never used to wear gloves. Can you imagine? I used to do 75 extractions a day in a private hospital without gloves. Those days. Now you can't even imagine. So pandemic has taught us. That time then HIV came in 1985, we started wearing gloves, and now with pandemic we are wearing all those other stuffs, etc. So what changed, according to me, of course I'm involved in that, the change in dentistry, if everybody agrees, is from 1990 when aesthetic dentistry we started promoting something called beauty in dentistry, that is not painful, but it can be the smile, it can be this. But while doing the smile, we forgot the function. So then we added the function part of it by occlusion, TMJ, etc. So what we have seen in education also and in patients' demand is change, and they are now coming for cosmetic, now they are coming for prevention. Then came technology. A time, I know Sanjay and Ashu will agree, or Himanshu will also agree with me, there was continued dental education was only during conferences, specialty conference or association
IDA.
conference. So that's what now there are CDE programs all over. Then there were no courses conducted. So there are private courses coming up, a skill in one particular subject. So technology came now. Today, India is the best compared to other countries because India gets technology from Japan and Germany and USA. So we are in the center where we get technology and we can do the best job. I'm giving some chance for others to speak also. But the last thing which I want the youngsters to understand, do not go for cheap materials. What I've seen, when I bought my first chair, it was costing me 1 lakh of rupees in 1982. Then I bought my second chair in 92, which was 3.5 lakh of Kao. Then after 20 years, I bought a 20 lakh chair from Kao. And after 15 years, I bought 32 lakh chair from Sirona. The point to tell you is that this thing has gone up in last 10 years. Material also was best of the best material from Germany. But in last 10 years, I'm very sad to say that the youngsters and the young practitioners are going for cheap materials. They go for Chinese material. They go for material where there is no evidence base. It's only, they say this is glass ionomer, this is 250, GC glass ionomer 2500. But friends, the difference in one restoration is only 35 to 40 rupees. For what you are going in for cheap restorations. So that today I don't get a handpiece with 3 hole. You require 3 hole handpiece because 1 hole handpiece, when you do DO of anything, the the cutting surface or preparation surface margin doesn't get water and you connect indirect, pulpitis, irreversible pulpitis can be created. But these are not available. The handpieces are available for 5,000, 7,000, 10,000. When we bought 20 years back, it was 65,000 rupees, but it stayed for 7 years. So the market, when you talk to market, they say, well, youngsters want only cheap material. Now there your reputation goes for a toss, because any restoration lasts for 2-3 years, patient go to other dentists, then they move around. But your reputation is what you survive on. Doctors are recognized by reputation. Businessmen are recognized by finances. Nobody goes to rich doctor. They go to rich dentist. Nobody goes to rich dentist. They go to reputed dentist. So keep this in mind, that cheap dentistry is cheap work. Don't cut corners. Patient might bargain. The richest of the richest person can also bargain. But you have to say that this is what the minimum cost is. And that's what you have to keep in mind, that if you want the small tip, if the patient says that, oh, 10,000 is not, okay, what is your budget? 8,000 rupees. Okay, we do work in 8,000 rupees. So that's what you're supposed to keep in mind. But don't cut corner because your reputation is at work. My patients left me. I said, no, I'm not going to cut corners. That's what you're supposed to do. The first practice, I used to do silver filling costing 25 to 30 rupees. But I used to call them after paying the money, you have to come for polishing. They said, but I paid you. I said, no, my work is not over till I polish. So friends, there is nothing called shortcut. You have to follow all the
Right,
steps.
sir, right. So since we are running out of time, and there's just one question I would like to put in from the student side. So they are all asking you for mantras of success for the clinical practice. So anything you want to add upon right now?
Sanjay. Unmute.
Ashu, you answer this.
Actually,
No.
those mantras have already been discussed at length. I think Sandesh and everybody has given out those mantras. But my mantra for success in practice is your ethical work and honesty towards your work. Like whatever you do, give your best to the patient. Use the best of the materials, use best of the equipment, and the patient, and you will be successful. And patient is going to pay you. He will go after you.
I got only two mantras.
Very important. Yeah.
I got only two mantras. Always look the benefit of the patient. He will look benefit of yours. Second, we go to, that's what my last sentence is. Second, we go to church, Gurudwara, we go to temple, we go to mosque to pray. Don't tell me pray. You go for peace of mind. What is peace of mind? Basic luxury. What is basic luxury? Roti kapra makan. That means you go to temple, except I want to earn money. God asks you, who are you? I'm a dentist. Okay, I'll come to you as a patient. So friends, patients are next to God. Never cheat them. Cheating is not charging more or less. Cheating is telling something and doing something else. And for students working in college, patients are next to God in college also, because they allow you to do experiments in their mouth. So always be kind to your patients in college also. These are my two mantras.
Exactly. Yes.
Anything you would like to add, Ashu sir? So you can also add it and then we'll end.
No. It was just, two things that I wanted to say, which somehow could not be covered. Your basic topic from, coming back to your basic topic, multi-specialty practice, tier 2, tier 3 cities, tier 1 and tier 2 cities is quite possible, but tier 3 cities, it is not possible. One thing, because of the topographical condition and the socio-economic condition. So we can't expect this kind of a practice, and where more than 60 to 70% of our population lives. It lives in the rural areas and in the far-flung areas, where even on today, we do not have access to the basic dental treatments. So that is one thing I wanted to say. Second thing is, over the period of time, what changes have I seen? When I graduated, we used to think of 3 canals in the molar. Today, we talk of 4 canals in the molar. That was the time we used to say of two-dimensional radiograph. Today, we talk of 3 dimensions, So we have changed a lot. An additional dimension has been added. An additional canal has been added. So technology today, you see, earlier it was only skill. Then came skill and knowledge. And today we have skill, knowledge, and technology. So if we have to excel, we should be good with, not only we should be skillful, but we have to be knowledgeable, and we have to be techno-friendly also, techno-savvy also, you know. Then we can move forward for a good, bright future.
Thank you.
Ashu, I want to add something. You are saying that this is a concept in metropolitan cities only. If you look back 30 years back, there was no concept even in metropolitan cities of
Exactly.
multi-specialty practice. And I'm very sure time will come when we percolate to the district level, tehsil level, and our youngster has to understand this fact also that everybody can't settle in Mumbai, everybody can't settle in Delhi. Some has to move into rural India. And time is not far off when we will having such kind of practice in smaller cities, tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And we are very hopeful with this kind of conversation and with kind of discussion. This will be mind-blowing discussions for the youngsters. And I again thank you all of three of you, Dr. Sanjay Kalra, Dr. Sandesh Mekar sir, and Dr. Ashu sir, for sparing your precious time. And I know this is an endless topic. We can talk
I know.
till 5 p.m. in the evening. And Josna is again and again showing me the watch because we have to conclude it. So I will call Dr. Josna to conclude it. Thank you,
Josna,
Dr.
I've got
Vishnu.
2 more
We
minutes.
have
We
done very
started 12 minutes late. I've got 2 more minutes. Okay.
All questions very nicely. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I was mute for such a long, so people have muted me permanently.
We can hear you, Josna. We can
Website
hear
guy is
you.
not allowing Josna to speak. They want panelists should continue. They are interested to learn more.
Gautam, are you there? Please unmute me.
Josna, you come on my side.
Okay, thank you.
Already unmuted.
It was really a great session. I was muted for so long, so I think he thought to muted me permanently. Sorry, sir. It was a great session, and it was a never-ending session. We had great stalwarts of dentistry. From DentoCon 2020, I present a token of appreciation to all our panelists. So please. Thanks
Thank
for
you. Thank you, Josna. Thank you, Dr. Himanshu. And of course, my
Thank you.
co-panelists. Thank you. God bless all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Gautam, certificates would be presented. It is there on the second screen. Sandesh.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was a
Thank you. Thank you.
brilliant session. Thank you.